This Sunday marks 15 years of a pretty special movement in Hamilton. Bike for Mike was inspired by Mike Chamberlain, who cycled around the world. His dad, Mark Chamberlain, joins us now with more on how Mike's legacy has really grown. And tomorrow is a bittersweet anniversary for you. It's 15 years since Mike's death by suicide.
Yeah. It's funny when you say it, it gets emotional.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but it's good that we talk about it because
we have to talk about it.
You have been very active about talking about Mike's struggle and what he really wanted. He cycled around the world, traveled around the world, and yet in Hamilton couldn't find a good place to cycle.
That's true. I mean, so 15 years have gone by, and it's interesting. It's May is Mental Health Awareness Month, right? And you can look back over 15 years and you're saying, are we more aware? What do we need to be aware of? And certainly, it's very poignant when you have a child who's lost their life to probably one of the more severe aspects of mental illness, suicide. But it's not also to think that he was an unhappy or a devastated person. He was a very happy person. He was just going to start his PhD in health radiation physics. And but what he found when he discovered that he had mental health, some challenges, he found that exercise was a major modifier. That and good diet. So he was a natural cyclist. He loved to cycle. He liked to exercise, and it had a major impact on his own personal health. So after his last trip in Southeast Asia for 4.5 months of cycling in Discovery, he came home, knew he wasn't that well, wasn't feeling well, was looking for some professional help. And that's another issue in terms of society. We did not get the professional help he needed at the time. But he wanted to start something in Hamilton that allowed Hamilton and to prioritize a healthier infrastructure so more people could cycle. So he knew how it had effect that it had on himself. And so when he passed away, we people say, do you do this in memory of Mike? I said, no, we do it because of him.
Because of him, yeah. So you've had these bike rides
so 15 years of bike rides, and it's for two reasons. One is to raise awareness that in a city, you can actually design for better health. If you design a city for it's easier to walk, it's easier to cycle, don't rip out the bike lanes, add more bike lanes. And it's always things to saying, is this a war against cars? No, it's actually a war against ill health. How do we actually create better health? And it's by movement, it's by walking. And so our programming that we do today, we started out by saying, what are the two reasons why kids didn't walk or cycle to school and cycle together? Well, we can't afford a bike. And the second reason is it's not safe enough to ride our bike. So the first 5 years, we provided about 2,400 bikes to kids in downtown schools because they couldn't afford a bike. And we were at the point of being able to do 1,000 bikes per year. But then we stepped back and saying, this is great, but are we getting 1,000 new riders per year? And the answer was no. It's not because we saturated the market. There was thousands of kids that would have loved to have had a new bike. But what we found is that it wasn't safe. And there's a combination of perception of unsafe and the actual reality of unsafe. If you kind of walk your way around city, one of the things, if you want to see how unsafe it is for a kid to get to school, go on to, just take Aberdeen for example, and walk along that sidewalk in the morning when cars are coming in, which my grandkids do to get to school. Now they don't go on that street anymore because if you step off the street, you'll die.
Right.
And this is the infrastructure we've created to try and encourage our kids to walk and cycle to school. Right.
We've got about a minute left, but we want to get into this. Has kind of evolved now into something called the daily school route, which is about getting kids to learn how to ride a bike or to learn how to wheel or walk to school.
Well, it's partly that, but the big thing about the DSR is what we found is that we're actually in the classrooms now, and we're trying to elevate the status of a child in city building. How do we give them voice? How can they, within the classroom, design their community that will make them want to walk to school? And so now we're actually working with the classrooms, working with the school boards, and spending our time working with kids, because it's hard for us to convince the decision makers, but maybe the kids can convince the decision makers. And by saying, if you design our community this manner and this way, we'll walk and cycle to school, we'll be healthier.
Okay, Bike for Mike, there's so many different routes and so many different lengths. It all starts on Sunday, and there are different times for when it starts. So we'll get that information up on our screen, but it is Sunday. Collective Arts Brewing in Hamilton is kind of the collective space where everybody's going to be.
Where we start and end, yes.
And congratulations for continuing his work.
Thank you so much.